John Nicolakakis staan aan die hoof van Suid-Afrika se tweede grootste pizza-kettingwinkel, Romans Pizza. Hy het die maatskappy die afgelope 12 jaar uitgebrei van 28 takke tot 161 in Suid-Afrika, Lesotho en Botswana. John is in die ateljee om van sy sake-geheime te deel. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
John, you've got a fascinating story, but you didn't start off in food. You actually started off as a currency trader. How did you move from currency to food?
My formal business career started as a currency trader. My informal business career started at a very young age in the fast food sector. My family's always been in food, always been in restaurants, and from a very young age, about 12, 13 years old, two pretty girls walked into our first restaurant at that time, and my dad said, "Here are menus, go serve them." So I've grown up with food. Food is in my blood. I try to get away from it. I try to be a bit smarter and move into banking. And unfortunately, you can't get out of the restaurant business once you're in it.
I'm also in the food trade, and a lot of people say it's the most challenging trade that you'll ever face, is being in food. Would you say to entrepreneurs, go into food? We've just heard technology is kind of the place to make money. Would you say to other entrepreneurs, go into food? And if not, what's kind of the challenges that you face? What makes it so difficult?
The various business models and industries that work out there. Food is one of many. It is extremely challenging because you're buying, manufacturing, and selling on site and at a low value. You're doing thousands of transactions in a month at 40, 50, 70, 80 rand a transaction, and many things can go wrong. Labor intensive. Labor is fairly unreliable, unfortunately, locally. So there's multiple challenges. The cost base has become a headache, load shedding. So there are a lot of challenges. Yeah. We were fortunate that when we started up, my father started up the brand many years ago, that there was a bit of a vacuum in the market. And there wasn't the competition that there is today. Yeah. So today, to go into food, I'd say you have to have a very good concept, and you got to know what you do.
Let's talk about the gap kind of becoming much smaller and the competition becoming way more intense. You've got Pizza Hut that kind of re-entered the market. You've got Domino's, which is a major American brand, also entering the South African market. How do you guys see this market kind of playing out, and how are you guys preparing yourselves for this onslaught of new competition? Because you kind of entered the market when it was easier to enter the market. What are you guys going to do to fight off competition?
Sorry, what did you say the names were? On a serious note, we're established. We've got our market. On the one hand, we're wary. We're not that arrogant that we can turn around and say, come for us and we'll fight you on. But in the same breath, it is more difficult for an entrant to gain market share than it is for established market player to entrench their market share. So what we're doing is we're focusing on our basics. We are the value leader. We're the price leader in our segment. We always have been. We're currently running any two large pizzas for 99 Rand. Tomorrow is actually the last day of the campaign. And that was directly telling our consumer, thank you, and we're here to stay. The two international players that have come into our sector have created a lot of press around the pizza segment. So the pizza segment will grow because of them. That is a positive in the long run, should there be any failures. Yeah. It's obviously a negative from being a business owner because we want to be a monopoly. Let's be honest, we're here to make money, amongst other things. So we'll fight the fight. We're ready to keep on going. We've got 161 outlets, and we'll stick to our values.
Do you guys plan on continuing your expansion program?
100%.
So 161 stores becomes incredibly difficult to manage. So you started off fairly small or really small, growing into 161 branches. What was your main challenges during this growth phase? That's actually the difficult part of business. Starting a business is kind of easy. Growing it, that's the tricky part. What was your main challenges?
Our main challenge through the growth was figuring out what we needed, what resources we needed, especially in terms of manpower. Fortunately, I try to network and I try to learn from other people. So as the company started growing, at that time it was just myself and my father. One day I realized that I couldn't handle the volume of work. So I said, what do we need? Maybe a development manager, but what does he do? So you try go learn from the market and you try allocate resources where you need them best. But it is challenging, and being green behind the ears has actually played to our fortune in many ways. We were the first branded pizzeria in the township. Any established restaurant owner or restaurateur at that time would have told you, how can you go sell pizza in the township? I didn't know any better. I took a gamble and fortunately it paid off. So I do believe go with your gut is one of the things you got to go with as an entrepreneur, and believe in yourself. I honestly believe it's fundamental.
Let's talk about those lessons that you learned from your dad. What was kind of the main lessons that you got from him?
The biggest lesson I've ever learned from my father is, well, there's a couple. The one is cut your losses. If something isn't working, get out of it. The sooner the better. And honestly, believe in yourself. Believe in your vision, believe in what you can do. I was very fortunate in that joining him at a young age, he gave me a lot of free rein. He gave me a lot of rope. He allowed me to make many mistakes. And every time I made a mistake, he just used to tell me, I hope you've learned from it. It cost you a Porsche Boxster, I hope you learned from it.
Yes. I always ask entrepreneurs, what can they teach other young entrepreneurs, guys that are just starting up new businesses? What's your main advice to them?
Hard work, hard work, hard work. Marry rich, hard work.
Yes.
Hard work is fundamental, and unfortunately the younger generation today, we see it especially in our business, they've got a feeling of entitlement as generalization, and I really believe that it's not going to play well for the majority of them. Yeah. It will create opportunities for others. If you are passionate about what you do and you're willing to put in the hours, the blood, sweat and tears, I do believe you'll be successful eventually.
If you had to give advice to our Minister of Small Business, and if she sat next to us tonight, what would your advice be to her?
I think if they could be slightly more flexible in accommodating small business, be it via our slightly rigid labour laws. Yeah. I do see that they're obviously doing tax incentives for micro businesses with a new budget, etc., which I think is great. It's promoting entrepreneurship. But fundamentally, the biggest challenge is labour. I think for a startup, if you have limited resources and you appoint one or two wrong individuals, you don't have the experience, it can destroy your company on the onset.
Taking into account your market is going to become way more competitive, how does the next 5 years, that's probably quite long term, but where do you guys actually want to be in say, let's make it shorter, where would you like to be in the next 2 to 3 years?
Complete domination.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
We have a good growth pipeline coming forward. We're still rolling out multiple stores. Africa offers some phenomenal opportunities, but many challenges. Yeah. We've done deals on most of our bordering countries. We're hoping to be in all of them in the next 18 months. Our personal belief is that we can double our brand in the next 5 years. Pizza is a growing segment. It offers great value and it's become a mass market product. So that is where we'd like to be.
Maybe my last question is, you talk about Africa. It is kind of the next frontier. What's your advice to entrepreneurs for doing business in Africa? What's kind of your main learnings before taking a business there?
We haven't had too much experience, but what I've learned from those who have experience is have the right partner.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great interview and some awesome advice for the small guys. Appreciate that so much. Dit was aan Nicolakakis van Romans Pizza.